So Philly no bail, cash bail 1.0 is what we were here to discuss, and basically
Right.
25 low-level offenses the district attorney chooses not to opt in bail. He said he's not necessarily ready to talk about or necessarily has envisioned what 2.0 would look like, but said you might have some ideas. What would the next step in this process look like?
I think there's no next step. There is are we in with no cash bail or are we not?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're going to use cash, we're always going to have these problems.
Okay.
If we're going to use real analysis on who should be in and who should be out, cash doesn't have anything to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a dangerous person but you're rich, you're going to be out. Should you be? I don't know. We have to decide that based
Okay.
on a hearing. Cash determination only makes us feel safe, but doesn't allow us real safety. Keir Bradford-Grey, Chief Defender of the Defender Association of Philadelphia.
So, Keir, we just got finished a press conference here at City Hall. Larry Krasner celebrating the one-year anniversary of the no cash bail system. What exactly has happened in the last year in terms of a layman's term? What exactly has gone down?
What's gone down is the need to use cash bail as a first option for low-level offenses, very low level. And what we've seen is there's about a 45% reduction in people relying on cash bail and given some form of release with conditions or release without conditions in our system. We have also been seeing an emergence of people willing to help people navigate that system and get to court, make their appointments, and stay out of trouble, which means do not get another rearrest. But that has happened with community efforts and community programming, as well as some social service involvement. We've been making a huge focus on the front end of the system, which we haven't before. We always made an effort to figure out who people are on the back end, but shifting those resources to the front end has allowed us to make much better decisions and has allowed people to understand whether or not someone needs to be in the system or can they just stay with the program that they got going on. We've saved money, we've reduced prison or jail populations, and that money should be used to support the programs that's actually working, to make sure that people are appearing in court and make sure that they're staying arrest-free.
Now, we're at the Public Defender's Office. Have you guys had a no cash bail policy that preceded what happened at the District Attorney's Office?
Our policy is to ask for no cash bail whenever possible.
Okay.
That has always been our policy and practice. The problem is that we've never been able to interview our clients before that hearing. So we've asked for bail advocates that can interview a person and get information that we would bring to a magistrate to say this person can be released and here's where he's going to go or what he's going to do. He has a job and this is what's going to happen to him if he misses this job. That determination has never been a part of this process.
Okay.
Can you believe that?
No, I can't.
Can you believe that we can't even figure out what's going on with a person before we make a decision whether or not they should be in or out? It's a 2-minute hearing where a person is on a video screen and you're told not to talk. So all we have is information that's on a piece of paper saying what they allegedly had done and what they have done in the past. Even if it's just an arrest and they were found not guilty. That is what we used to go on. And we said no more. That's not a good system. And so we brought in bail advocates that can meet people at the time that they are arrested. What that has done, do you know what that has done too? That has reduced the amount of infractions with the person being arrested and the police officers in that station. There used to be additional arrests with people who came in and they're arrested with the police based on assault or whatever the heck is going on in those police districts. When we had bail advocates there, it reduced the amount of those. There were about 5 extra charges per week on people that were initially arrested based on run-ins with police officers. The presence of our bail advocates has reduced that totally. Secondly, it has given us meaningful information that we can use to argue the fact that someone should be released. But Chris, I want to make this clear. Someone shouldn't have to argue that they can be out. It should be on the moving party prosecuting them to say that they should be in, not backwards.
Right.
Everyone has to fight to prove that they should be out. But what should happen is that someone who's asking for this person to be brought into the system, to be brought to justice, should prove that they deserve to be in. And it's been a lot of burden shifting where people don't have the real tools to prove that they should be out.
So in the same way that the prosecution is supposed to prove their
Yes.
guilt, they also need to be able to prove that they are flight risk and that they're deserving of bail.
Absolutely. We made this blanket approach where everyone kind of gets this bail and some of the people have to prove that they should not have bail. That's a terrible burden and that's a hard system to keep up because you don't have information. So when the prosecutor is more strategic about who should be in and who should not, that's going to shrink a lot. And we're going to have to be able to have meaningful hearings on whether or not that determination is accurate.
So Philly no bail, cash bail 1.0 is what we were here to discuss, and basically
Right.
25 low-level offenses the district attorney chooses not to opt in bail. He said he's not necessarily ready to talk about or necessarily has envisioned what 2.0 would look like, but said you might have some ideas. What would the next step in this process look like?
I think there's no next step. There is are we in with no cash bail or are we not? Because if we're going to use cash, we're always going to have these problems.
Okay.
If we're going to use real analysis on who should be in and who should be out, cash doesn't have anything to do with that. If you are a dangerous person but you're rich, you're going to be out. Should you be? I don't know. We have to decide that based on a hearing. Cash determination only makes us feel safe, but doesn't allow us real safety. It just creates a system where poor people are sitting in because they can't afford it. And over half of the people that are in never get convicted. So what do
But what do you say to critics who say, well, if someone's arrested for murder or rape under suspicion, shouldn't they get bail, or should they benefit from the no cash bail rule too?
Well, they should. I mean, Michael White did. Number one, he's benefiting from being out.
Okay.
My thing is when we have an individualized hearing on who this person is, who they are, what their opportunities are to be out, whether or not they're a true danger to the community, whether or not these are allegations that they are worth giving someone the opportunity or the presumption of innocence of fighting, then we can make better decisions. But that's individualized. That's just not charge specific. Think about the Michael White case, right? He's charged with homicide. He's out. He's doing well. He's going to school.
He didn't have to post bail?
Yeah, he did post bail,
Okay.
but my problem, the thing is, if the community didn't help come up and raise that money, he'd still be in.
Right.
And my thing is, if cash is determination, that's not going to help with this, what we're trying to cure for. We're trying to cure for people who are unnecessarily in jail when they don't need to be, and we're trying to cure for the fact that we don't want to create a system that is uneven towards one group than the other. If a Michael White came through with the charge that it came through with, and the DA filed a motion for detention, we'd have a hearing on whether Michael White should be detained or shouldn't. They can release him with conditions. They can release him with house arrest options. They can release him with work release options. Whatever it is that they believe that Michael deserves based on our full-blown hearing of who Michael White is, and I'm using him as an example because everyone understands that case, then that's what would happen. We wouldn't just blanketly say, okay, you get $1 million. Because think about it, if Michael White's charges weren't reduced, he'd be held without bail.
Okay. So just last question, the 25 charges that Mr. Krasner identified has been in Philly 1.0. Is the utopia that all charges would come with no cash bail? Is that the idea?
Yes, utopia is that no charges would require cash, but they would require an individualized hearing on whether they should be detained or released with conditions.
Oh, okay. So people can still not be released, but it would have nothing to do with cash. It would have to do with the analysis of whether they present a danger to the community.
Or a severe flight risk.
Okay, got you.
You know?
Okay.
And that's how the jurisdictions that are really working well, where crime hasn't spiked, they've been able to save a lot on prison costs. They've been able to get people into early programming so they don't they can avoid a conviction altogether. That's what they use. They use individualized assessments versus let's just make this cash system where people are assessed cash, and if you can get out, you can get out. Oh well.
Keir, how can people get in touch with your office and you if they need to?
Actually, we're launching our new website, www.phillydefender.com. Please, I think we have a section there where you can kind of respond or ask questions or anything like that. But I'm always, Keir Bradford-Grey. You can Defender Association of Philadelphia.
Are you on Twitter? KB Gray?
Twitter, yes. I am on Twitter, yes. I keep forgetting my password, but I'm on Twitter.
Keir, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks.